A new year means a new season. A new season comes with new changes to the esports circuit we love, and sometimes love to hate. And 2026 is no exception. During the reveal panel of SI in Paris, Ubisoft and Blast announced the changes that would come into the Blast R6 circuit for 2026, including a reworked calendar, streamlining the Tier 2 system globally, and tweaks to both Major and SI qualification. But we have to start with the big one. There are already rumblings about this happening during the LCQs, but we finally got confirmation during SI that China is coming to Blast R6 as its own region. That intro video goes hard, by the way, and I love it. We saw a taste of what Chinese teams could do during the APL Last Chance qualifiers, even going so far as to making the grand final against Daystar. How it works is the current GVC League will become the new CNL, with 8 teams getting direct qualification to the league and 2 additional teams joining via qualifiers to make it a 10-team league similar to what we have with the Big 3. There's been no public word of what the qualifiers are going to look like, but I presume it is something similar to the Challenger Series for the rest of the leagues. So to see these guys in a full Blast-recognized domestic league is not only great for the growth of the ecosystem, but the long-term health of the game as well. There is a deep love of the game in China, so it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of the CNL in their debut year, as well as the economic benefit as well. More players means more fans. More fans, of course, means more money. That said, it does surprise me a little bit that China is getting its own league right off the rip for a couple of reasons. And it relates to the first attempted regional expansion back in 2023. We saw a couple of now defunct regions suffer under the weight of those that came before it, particularly the 2 LATAM leagues. A lack of direct support and, let's be real, very poor results for those newer regions ultimately saw them absorbed into the leagues we know now. So for the CNL to be introduced rather than be a part of the APL for a year or maybe 2 is a peculiar choice. However, the counterpoint is China is a very large country, and there's enough of an underground scene to justify the decision. And with players like Reaps for Weibo showing just how good Chinese players can be, as well as all gamers being 1 series away from making it to SI26 instead of Daystar, well, that bodes well for the region as a whole. The introduction of the CNL is not the only change coming to the leagues for 2026, as the APL is getting tweaks to its playoff brackets for all 3 subdivisions. Last year, the top 6 from each sub-region would compete in their respective playoff phase. But because it was only 8-team leagues as opposed to 10, it ultimately meant that it boiled down to seeding matches for the pointy end of the season, which was made glaringly obvious for the OCE when it was reduced to 7 teams for Stage 2. Now for the new season, only the top 4 teams will compete in the APL playoff phases as opposed to the top 6, making each spot in the playoffs all the more valuable. Thank you, Ubisoft and Blast! I am absolutely on board with this change. It makes results in the group stage for the APL more impactful, and it gives more teams incentive to play at the best of their abilities. And more importantly for us fans, it makes the entire stage more exciting and a little bit more unpredictable, at least in theory. The Challenger Series returned in 2026, with additional stakes for the teams that were relegated after the previous season. But there were some changes to the format for competitiveness and integrity. As well as the Swiss phase and playoff bracket to determine who joins the Tier 1 leagues, there were also 4 open qualifiers across all regions and subdivisions where any player or team not already in Tier 1 can compete, with a scoring system in place for teams that reach a certain threshold in the points rankings. So winning was not the only thing that mattered, it was consistency that was just as important. The top 12 or so teams would join the teams relegated from the previous season, as well as 2 Tier 2 teams invited to their respective league's second phase. From there, it followed a similar format. A Swiss phase where 3 wins equals promotion or 3 losses equal elimination, and a double elimination bracket where the top 2 teams from most regions would get promoted to the big leagues for season 2026. Speaking as someone who did a fair bit of community casting for both OCE and EML during open calls and Swiss phases, I can honestly say that I am glad the Challenger Series is back because it allows for young players to test themselves against their peers for a potential shot at Siege glory. Are some of these players rough and in need of polish? Absolutely. But the potential is there for new and upcoming players to cut their teeth in serious competition. But it doesn't end there, because we now have the Challenger circuit as well. We don't have a lot of details about how it's going to work, but what was revealed during the esports panel at SI was that each region's tier 2 circuits will be unified under one structure. Think of it like challenges for Valorant. The idea is that Ubisoft wants to build up the grassroots as a means of shining a light on a new generation of players and teams worldwide. I think this might be the most significant change to the Blast R6 ecosystem we've seen for quite some time, because it's investment at more levels of competition. For the longest time, each region's tier 2 tournaments have kind of been standalone tournaments with no direct connection with one another. The EML changed that up when they brought all their tier 2 tournaments under one banner, and we saw the culmination of that during the EML regional finals. I'm a huge fan of this, and we need more of it going forward. Our tier 2 players do not get enough love. During the end of last year, we got a full look at the tournament calendar for 2026. And while most of it is great, I do have one or two complaints. Let's start with the good, because there is a lot of it there. First of all, Reload is gone. Thank the Lord Tachanka. Kickoff season is still a thing, but it's now regional, is more of a high-intensity blast, and more importantly, has competitive stakes. Just briefly touching on how the kickoffs are going to work, because there are some slight tweaks between the regions, namely the APL, but we'll look at those in a second. For the NAL, SAL, EML, and CNL, the kickoffs will be a single round-robin phase consisting of 2 separate groups, and a double elimination bracket that combines the results of both groups for playoff seeding purposes, similar to the FIFA World Cup as an example. The APL does away with the round-robin phase and only has that double elim bracket due to the reduced number of teams with each sub-region. Each kickoff event will award SI points based on finishing position, like with any other regular season, as well as the top 4 from each region will compete in the main major. Yes, you heard right. We are back to 2 majors in the year. Hallelujah. And we also know the locations for both majors and SI 2027. The main major is going to be held in Salt Lake City, USA, which I have questions geopolitically, but it is a new city we haven't been to for a major before, so I can't complain. I just hope it doesn't get cancelled due to outside forces. After the major, stage 1 begins and runs through June and July, competing for more SI points as well as an EWC spot. This is my only real complaint about what to expect for the new season. I have another bone of contention, but that is later in the year. Where my issues lie with EWC is twofold. One is the integration of the event as the mid-season tournament for the R6 calendar. Now, I have spoken to a couple of people who have worked EWC in previous years, and they've had good experiences over there during the events. Okay, fair enough. Even Jesco decided to come back to the desk as a freelancer during EWC, but only after speaking to a few advocacy groups. For those in the know, that is significant. And I want to make this clear. Anyone who chooses to work the event of their own accord, I won't knock them for it. But there's another reason why I'm not happy with EWC's integration into the BR6 circuit, and I'll get to that a little later. After EWC, Stage 2 runs through September and October with more SI points and a shot at qualifying for the November major to be held in Japan. That's right, we are coming back to APAC for the first time since 2019. And this will be the first major I try and attend this year, if I can swing the money for it. November also plays host to the Esports Nations Cup in the second half of the month, where the best players of each country join forces in the name of national pride and compete for the title of best country in the world. Unfortunately, Australia may not be it. During December and January, the SI Last Chance qualifiers return, giving teams one last chance to punch their tickets for the 2027 major. And we are once again returning to Brazil. It does mean we no longer have regional finals, which is a shame because I like the idea of having the best teams from each region duking it out amongst each other to determine the definitive winner for that year. But I think this is a good compromise because we already have a cramped competitive calendar. All in all, I do think this is a net positive. Taking into account the Challenger Series that had just wrapped up for the season, we are getting some form of competitive siege every month throughout the year. The removal of regional finals is a bit sad, but it's made up for the regional kickoff events in April having competitive stakes on the line. As mentioned previously, we are back to 2 majors a year instead of just the 1. And they've also received some changes to not only the format itself, but also means of qualification. I'll go into more detail about the format for 2026 when I do my Salt Lake City Major preview, but the qualification format remains the same as last year, with a bit of a twist. The NAL, EML, and SIL remain the same. The top 4 teams of that split qualify for the major, and the CNL will have the same format. The APL is where things get changed up. It is still 4 teams from the region, but now each sub-region is guaranteed 1 participant per event. However, what changes is the return of the wildcard slot for the APL specifically. Whoever has the highest position in the final standings of the preceding event, in this particular instance it's SI, their home region gets an additional slot for that subsequent event. For Salt Lake, that belongs to Asia, as Weibo was the highest placing APL team in Paris last month. So for this major specifically, the winners of each sub-region's kickoff events, as well as the runners-up from Asia, qualify for the major. And whichever APL team gets the best position during Salt Lake City earns their home sub-region the wildcard slot for the Japan major later in the year. For the Six Invitational, it mostly remains the same, with one key difference. With the removal of regional finals, it goes back to being a predominantly points-based qualification system. And with the CNL getting its own LCQ slot, that means the number of teams that can qualify on points is reduced to 15. So there's a bit more at stake for teams. But there is one key change to SI qualification. And this is where my other gripe about EWC comes in. Last year, the major winner received a direct invite to Paris as part of their reward. That does return this season, but it's not attached to the majors anymore. It's now part of the reward for the winners of EWC. In case this wasn't clear, the winner of a non-Ubisoft run event gets a direct invite to Ubisoft's biggest tournament. I have one word. Why? Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of a major winner earning direct qualification SI because it makes sense. A major should reward more than just bragging rights and a big payout. Being able to confirm your SI spot at SI and not having to worry about whether or not you've got enough points to make it to the season's biggest tournament provides some fantastic incentive. But to me, having SI qualification tied to EWC rather than a major almost cheapens the event. Granted, you still get a massive boatload of SI points if you do well at the majors, but that's beside the point. It's the principle of the matter for me. Now, if you're a proponent of EWC, which is, fair enough, I can see the argument of giving a spot at SI to the winners. It puts more on the line for teams that compete at the events. I mean, getting a guaranteed spot at SI is a pretty damn good card to have in your back pocket towards the end of the year. Lastly, we have some updates to the teams connected to the R6Share program for 2026. And this is a bit of a mixed bag of reactions for me. But keep in mind this is mostly subjective, so take what I'm about to say with a bit of salt. Firstly, let's start with the good. 3 new teams are joining the partner program for 2026. 1 from the EML and 2 from the NAL, as well as an org joining for the first time. A team from the APL has also been announced as an affiliate team for the new season, and there's some news regarding the CNL as well. The sole EML team promoted up to partner is Virtus Pro, and it's about damn time. This org has been in the scene for about as long as some of the more prominent orgs in Europe, and not just within Siege. VP has representation in CS, League, Overwatch, you name it, chances are they have a team in at least T2 or T3. And within Siege, they've had some pretty significant results over the years, so it makes sense they would be selected to join the partner program. The first NAL team being promoted is Shopify Rebellion, and while they don't have the same prestige as VP, their inclusion into the partner program also makes sense. Rebellion has seen some solid success not just within Siege, but also games like Valorant, Apex Legends, and Rocket League. They're an exciting brand that speaks to gamers and streamers, which makes sense considering the co-owners include Moist Critical and Ludwig. But it's the team coming into the Siege ecosystem for the first time that is making the biggest waves, and might just be the coup that Ubisoft needs. And it's 100 Thieves. One of the biggest orgs in North America is joining the NAL as a partner team. Holy shit. If you want to talk about big names with prestige, this is it. Valorant, Marvel Rivals, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty. There is some serious clout behind them. 100 Thieves have also already announced the roster they've signed for the new season, and it looks pretty damn spicy. So they are going to be an exciting prospect for 2026, and they're going to drive some big numbers for the NAL this season. Like with last season, the old non-partner teams in the EML, NAL, and SAL will be made affiliate teams for the purposes of R6 Share earnings, including those promoted up from Challenger Series. But that is not all on the affiliate front. It was announced in the last couple of days that Daystar will be competing in Asia as an affiliate team for 2026. And honestly, those guys deserved it. They've put in the hard work and now it's paying dividends as a reward, so congrats to the boys. What's more, the CNL will also be integrated into the R6Share program for the season and beyond. But there's been no official word on what form that is going to take. My guess is the majority of the teams will be made affiliates for the 2026 season, and some of those teams will get promoted up to partner for 2027, allowing for a similar makeup to the rest of the leagues. That makes the most sense to me given it is such a new region. But I could be wrong and teams like All Gamers and 4AM get made partner right off the rip. It could happen either way. However, that is the end of the good news, because there is a bit of a sour note. Towards the end of last year, APAC North partner organization PSG Talent effectively went bankrupt and pulled out of the ecosystem altogether. Their comp license was transferred over to the players who are currently LFO. As a result, Talon's R6 partner status was revoked, and all their cosmetics were removed from the in-game store. There's been no word from Ubisoft about that APL partner slot for the longest time, and I get the funny feeling it is not going to be replaced. I was hopeful that they do find a new team to take Talon's slot and announce it just before the kickoffs begin, but given nothing was said when 100 Thieves, VP, and Rebellion were announced, and we've already seen confirmation within this year's rulebook about the partner teams for 2026, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We never have it easy in APAC. From China's introduction to the return of the main major to the regional kickoff events, there's a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Losing the regional finals is a shame, but there is also the ENC around that time, so no one's missing out on too much siege. The CNL, I think, is going to be the most intriguing aspect of the year. How well they integrate into the ecosystem, what metas will emerge from that region, how they perform on the big stage. There's a lot of uncertainty, and I'm anticipating good things from there, albeit not immediately. 100 Thieves making their way into the ecosystem is certainly a watch this space situation, but in a good way. All in all, I'm really looking forward to this. That does it for me. What did you guys think of the changes coming to the Blast R6 ecosystem for the new season? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, if you like this video and you want to see more of it, feel free to like the video and subscribe to this channel. Any and all support will be greatly appreciated, and you get notified when my newest video drops. Just a quick note, I will not be doing a preview for the OCE kickoff event, as I will be taking a small break for Easter and also getting back into a rhythm for my master's degree. If the kickoffs do return for 2027, I will reconsider, but for now, it will be off the table. I am, however, going to be returning in time for the Salt Lake City Major, as that is going to be my 2nd year anniversary as a R6 YouTuber. Good God, the Manchester Major was that long ago? I feel old, and I don't like it. As for OCE itself, I will be still covering the region, and I'll be doing a full preview before Stage 1 in late May, early June. Until next time, operators, this is your resident Silverwolf, signing off.